Past the hour 4 o'clock on the Vow FM Drive. It's now Art in Motion, and today we are chatting to YouTuber Lebohang, who mainly aims at addressing the general public interest as well as building conversations. And I think when it comes to podcasting, many of us have a great interest as to how does one produce a podcast and what podcast do you also choose to listen to in terms of content consumption. Now, basically what we'd all love to know is what is podcasting and do people actually listen to podcasts? Lebohang, thank you so much for joining me on the Vow FM Drive. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I would love for us to begin with firstly explaining what podcasting is and how people choose to listen to podcasts.
Hi, Kgosikgadi. You sound so formal, hey?
Okay, let's do it. Okay, get ready to
hey, you know, I haven't seen you in a while, blah, 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 but it's all good. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Sure. Let's talk about podcasting, Lebo. Let's talk about podcasting. What is to podcast? You know, what's that? How do you define that to the general public, to a listener who doesn't know the difference between a podcast, the difference between listening to a radio show, watching a television program?
All right. No, cool. So I've got my own definition, which is that a podcast is content created to stay online for download and just for listening, even offline. So it does not have your music and ads in between at the beginning, you know. So it's just content whereby you just speak freely about anything, you know.
I get you.
Hello?
Yeah, I get you there. And how do, you know, people who usually listen to podcasts, what have you noticed as the behavior, right, that people kind of go about in terms of choosing what podcasts to listen to, the trendsetters, and the nitty-gritties that lead me to saying, this is the podcast I want to listen to because it addresses this kind of issue and that kind of matter?
Well, what I've seen is that people listen to podcasts that have content that they relate to.
All right.
You know, content is everywhere, but you need to choose wisely what you talk about. You need to talk about things that people relate, things that people go through every day, you know, and address those things. So people will tend to gravitate towards what they relate to. You know, it's like music. If your favorite song talks about things that you go through, you're bound to listen to the song every day, you know, as you get up and go. So you need to have content that people relate to so that they can listen and comment on it, you know, and interact with you as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when it comes to podcasting, can this actually be like a full-time job? Can I quit my job and do podcasts? Like, that's it?
Yeah. Firstly, you need to have the passion for it.
Yeah.
Firstly, you need to have the passion for it, and you need to see the direction before you take any like a big decision of quitting your thing. Decided to quit your job. You can't just quit and you don't even know the direction of your podcast. You know, so you need to have the direction. As soon as you have the direction and the numbers, because you know numbers don't lie, and you have sponsors on board, and the money coming in, of course you can quit your job. It's big money though, you know.
So I think, you know, like you are making one thing clear as well, that you can't just quit your job. You need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy.
Exactly.
You need to have a whole concept laid out before you can say this is what's now going to happen. What are some of the misconceptions, or rather things that people seem to misunderstand when it comes to podcasts?
Hey, they think we're playing, eh? They think we're playing and they think it's easy. It's not easy. I'll make an example. You need to prepare your content. You can't just say, I'm going to get on the mic and speak about anything. Same with radio. Now it's radio off air, but it's a bit different. You've got the freedom to talk about anything. So they think it's easy and you can do it anyhow. You can do it on your phone. It's not that easy. You need to have good quality equipment so that you can be audible to the listeners, so that they can hear you and be comfortable to listen to you everywhere they go, you know? Yeah.
And I think also it takes time, right? It's not something that just happens overnight. Like you're saying, you need to have a lot of things figured out. Now, there's so much that I want to ask you and so much that I would love for us to dive into conversation with, because the Voice of Wits has also partnered up with the Gender Equity Office to produce a podcast that addresses gender sensitivity in the workplace. But now I need to give our listener traffic, and then I would love for you to hold on the phone for me so that we can come back and address, the issues that come with how long it takes to make money in podcasting. And if there are also any main factors that, should allow us to start, or starting points when we want to begin producing a podcast. So please hold on the line for me. Let's drive the people home. We are on the line with Lebohang, YouTuber, as well as the man who's supposed to be addressing us as far as podcasting is involved, because there's still so much that we need to learn. And we can also all agree that the future in terms of consuming knowledge, consuming information, being part of conversations and creating dialogue, much of it lies in podcasting. Lebohang, thank you so much for still sticking on the line for us. Let's get back to the conversation. I think my listener would also love to know how long it actually takes to monetize in podcasting. Is there any money when it comes to the specific part of creating conversations and a platform that leads people?
Yeah. I'm actually shocked that you're addressing me by my government name, but it's fine. Yes, there is money to answer your question, but like I said, numbers don't lie. You need to have numbers. It's like, for example, having a radio station, right? If you don't have the listeners, then you cannot have advertising or sponsorship for that matter. So you need to have the numbers. Maybe a maximum of 1,000, views, if it's a thing, it's on YouTube, and downloads as well. You need to have interactions as well. So if you can clock those numbers, and when you go to a sponsor and you say, okay, I've got this type of content, I've got this much interaction, and I would like us to work, going forward. Of course, they're going to bite looking at the numbers.
I totally get it. There are certain things that we should also be considering when we want to start a podcast, right? And I would love for you to just tell us, at the top of your head, perhaps the top 5, because I think also when you begin, you don't have so many things figured out.
True. Top 5. Wow. Putting me on the spot. Okay, I would say number 1, do research when it comes to content. What kind of content are you gonna talk about? And do you have the masses? Do you have the people that you're gonna be directing your content to? Right. That's number 2. Number 3, what kind of equipment are you gonna need going forward? Right. That your microphone, are you going to use your phone, and how audible would everything be? And what I've noticed is that a lot of podcasts are also visual now. Where are you going to place your content, right? Where are you going to place your content? And also, number 5, also have the sponsors in mind. What kind of sponsor are you gonna approach? Yeah. Will they bite or not? You see. Yeah. So you need to have those things in line before you start anything, Yeah.
Yes. Lebohang, thank you so much for joining us. How do we get a hold of your work and the content that you're creating on YouTube and many other platforms before we let you go?
All right. For now, we're still on YouTube. It's the Kitchen Podcast. So we have the Kitchen Podcast, which is one-on-one interviews, and we have the Main Cave Express, whereby we talk about things that affect men, And can I quickly send a shout out?
Okay, shout out, let's go.
Oh, wow. So I'd like to send a shout out to my team, NS Prince, International Melanin, which is Kgosikgadi, DJ Kwame, and myself, of course. Thank you, man, Kgosikgadi.
Thank you so much, Lebohang, joining us for Arts in Motion right on the Vow FM Drive. Let's check what's happening in the world of news.